Hi there. I'm Tracy. I'm the mental performance coach for the women's national team, and I want to thank you for clicking on this video today. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about performance readiness plans, or what I call a gut check. Preseason is the perfect time to start thinking about getting yourself ready for what this season is going to look like. Because right now you're just getting started, everything is fresh, it's clean, it's clear, you haven't run into any challenges yet, the world is full of possibilities. This is the perfect time to start thinking about your performance readiness plan. To me, the best part about preseason is that it's all about what potential feels like. Everything is great. It's bright, it's shiny, it's new, it's a clean start, it's unspoiled. There's just so much possibility in preseason. And the beauty of the preseason is that whatever happened last year, whatever last season was like, can help you get ready for your mindset for this season. If last season was great, you have all of this confidence about how good things went last year that can buoy you up, that can help you come into this season full of excitement and full of expectation and with a great mindset to really set some challenging goals for yourself. If last year wasn't so great, if you struggled or maybe you were injured or maybe it was just a difficult season, the good news is last year's over. You can put that behind you. And the whole concept of potential is that this year is a new year, that this preseason you have the opportunity to make a clean break, to really put yourself into the right headspace, to create all of the opportunity that's available for you to make this season awesome. So this idea of potential is really great because it takes reality. It takes wherever you are, whatever your capabilities are, whatever your skill sets are right now, and it infuses it with possibility. Potential, therefore, is reality, supercharged by optimism and confidence and a willingness to challenge yourself in setting your goals for the future. The beauty of this idea, this concept that reality supercharged with optimism and confidence, is that that potential is really limitless. It doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. You don't ever use it up. Your reality is constantly shifting. Your skill set is constantly changing. You're going to learn new skills. You're going to overcome obstacles in your training. That changes your reality. So what does all of this confident, optimistic mindset stuff have to do with performance readiness plans? Well, at their heart, performance readiness plans are really grounded in a foundation of goal setting. Now, traditional goal setting, I kind of struggle with, predominantly because a lot of times when people do goal setting, they focus on the outcome. They focus on what they want to have accomplished, but they never really focus in on what it takes to get there. So they're all product oriented and no process oriented. Other typical problems with goal setting or traditional goal setting is that people end up being really front loaded about it. They talk about it at the beginning of the season and they don't ever really come back to it. So there's never any evaluation component that goes into it. So traditional goal setting, I don't think really works. That's where performance readiness plans come in. Performance readiness plans are the high performance version, if you will, of effective goal setting. They get you focused more in on what you need to accomplish, where you want to go, the outcome, but then it also really locks you down into identifying how you're going to get there, what your process is going to look like. The other piece of performance readiness plans that I really like is that it gives you a plan. It identifies for you how you're going to get there, what's going to happen, how this is all going to work, and also what are the things that would typically get in your way, and what are you going to do to overcome those obstacles, which is a piece that traditional goal setting often lacks. So your performance readiness plan then is really about having a vision for what you want to accomplish and pairing that vision with a realistic evaluation of the things that could get in your way, how important this is to you, and then coming up with a really super specific targeted action plan for what you're going to do to accomplish your vision. So now we're going to get into the core of what your performance readiness plan is really actually about. These are the gut check questions. These are the questions that you're going to need to really sit down and think about, and really come up with what your answers are going to be to try to figure out what's it going to take for you to accomplish the things you want to accomplish this season. The very first question, super simple. What do I want to accomplish? What do I want to do? What do I want to come to the end of the season and look back and say, yeah, I did exactly what I meant to do? There's multiple ways to answer this question. So don't think you're going to go through this one time and capture everything that you want to accomplish for the season. You can approach this from multiple perspectives because performance is multifaceted. You could approach this from a mental perspective, from a physical perspective, from a technical perspective, and even from a tactical perspective. What do I mean by that? Well, maybe you want to improve something with your actual volleyball skills. That would be your technical skills. So something like your serving, your passing, your hitting, your blocking. What specifically do you want to accomplish with improving those skill sets? Maybe it's not your volleyball skills that you want to work on. Maybe it's just your overall physical ability, your speed, your fitness, your endurance, your flexibility. Maybe it's something more tactical, something strategy based. Could be something like improving your court sense, improving your vision on the court. Maybe it's something about being able to read your opponents better. Maybe it's a tactical thing, a strategy based thing. Could be you just want to improve your mental skill set, so being able to maintain composure during a competition, or develop your confidence, grow your confidence. Maybe it's about being able to focus more appropriately. The reality is you can answer this question in multiple different ways. And the more comfortable you get coming up with different answers to this question and then following through with the remaining questions, the more targeted and the more specific your performance readiness plan is going to be. Once you've figured out what you want to accomplish, there's a couple of sub-questions that kind of go with this one. The first sub-question has to do with your overall commitment level. How badly do you want this thing? And this is where you've got to get super honest with yourself. If we approach this question and say, yeah, I really want this. This is really important to me. But the reality is there's other things in your life that are more important. When push comes to shove, when it starts getting challenging, those other things are going to take priority. So this is where when you identify what it is that you want to accomplish, you've got to get really honest with yourself and say to yourself, okay, how important is this? On a scale from 1 to 10, is this the most important thing, the thing I absolutely positively have to accomplish? Or is this something that it would be great, it would be awesome if I could do this, but something else is more important to me? Now, depending on who you are and where you are in your competitive life, you might answer this question very differently. So, for example, if you're a member of our women's national team, I would hope that your answer to these questions are pretty high on that 1 to 10 scale. If you are a club player and this is just another thing that you do because it's something that you really enjoy and your friends are doing it and you have a really good time playing volleyball, your answers might not be on the upper range of that scale. They might be more in the middle. You might have other things in your life that are more important to you than volleyball, things like school, things like family. For some, sometimes it's your work. So you've got to get super honest with yourself about how badly do you want this. The reason this is important is because, say, for example, you say that this is something that is at the top of the chart important to you. I want this with a 9 or a 10 level of intensity. Well, if your coaches know that's your response, that's how you feel about it, when you're slacking off, when you're not accomplishing things in practice, they're going to work with you to improve that. They're going to work with you to make that better. But if they know that this is something that's only moderately important to you, if it's not going great, they may change the way that they interact with you and the expectations that they have for you. So this is where, like I said, honesty becomes really important. How badly do you want what you say you want? Once you've figured out what it is that you want and how important it is to you, the next thing you've got to ask yourself is then, what are you going to be willing to give up? What are you going to be willing to sacrifice? Because the reality is that excellence, performance excellence, is not normal. It's the whole idea of what normal looks like. Normal means average. Average means middle. Do you want to be in the middle? Do you want to be average? For some, that's great. That's a perfect thing to strive for. But for others, we're looking more for an abnormal perspective. We're looking for something above normal. That's what excellence is about. And the reality is excellence is hard. Excellence is challenging. And if you want to strive towards excellence, something's got to give. You're going to have to give something up. I don't know what it is because everybody's going to be different. But if you say that what you want is something that you want at a level 10, something's got to give. You've got to sacrifice maybe time with your friends. You've got to sacrifice going out to a party on the weekends and work on getting your rest and making sure that you are recovered effectively for practice or competition the next day. You want to get super clear about what you're willing to sacrifice, and you want to do that proactively so that you don't feel resentful or upset when you get put in a situation where you need to sacrifice. Okay? So start with that. What do you want? Get super specific with that. This is where your traditional SMART goals come into play. So specific, measurable, realistic but attainable, time-based. Traditional SMART goal setting happens in this first step. What do you want to accomplish? Then do yourself a favor by then going to that next sub-question. How bad do you want it? And then what are you willing to give up to attain it? Once you've got those things locked down, you can move on into the next step of this process, which is about looking at what are your obstacles? What are the things that are going to get in your way? What are the things that, if you look back at your history, if you think about what your experience has been with volleyball in the past, when you've set goals for yourself and not accomplished them, where did it go wrong? What are your tendencies? Was it your effort level? Was it something else got in the way? Maybe it was injury. Maybe it was, I don't know, a work schedule interference that you couldn't commit the time. But think about what your past history is. What are the obstacles that have hindered you in the past? Identify what those things are and then evaluate if those are things that have the potential to get in your way now. Take a look at where you are presently. Think about your life moving forward through the rest of this season. If you're honest with yourself, you can probably find a couple of places where there might be distractions, where there might be potential obstacles that could derail your progress toward what you're trying to accomplish. You want to identify those things proactively. You want to know what's going to happen to make it hard for you to follow up with what you want to set for yourself. Because if you think about those things early on, then when they happen, you're not as sidetracked. You're not as taken by surprise because you've already thought about it. You've already got a thought of this is what I think could happen. And hopefully you're already coming up with strategies and plans for how you're going to handle those things if they do come. Okay, so to backtrack, figure out what you want, figure out what's important to you. How important is it and what's going to get in your way? Okay. Figure out what those obstacles are. Think about what are the things that are going to interfere with your ability to accomplish what you want to attain this season. After you've got that locked down, this is where the workload comes. This is where the action plan comes into play. This is where you've got to work with your coaches, work with your teammates. If your goals have something to do with rehab or coming back from injury, you might want to work with your athletic training staff, work with your support staff. This may involve your friends and your family as well. But you want to work with all of those other people to figure out what do I need to do to make this happen. This is the action planning step. This is where you want to create what I consider to be scaffolding. You want to create levels of action plans for yourself. You want to start off with things that are super focused on what can I do right now, today, to make me better for tomorrow? What are the things that I can accomplish in today's practice that are going to take me one step closer to what my long-term vision is going to be for myself? That's the small blocks. You want to create lots of small blocks around yourself that you can jump over, that you can climb up on. Because as you start building more and more of those small blocks and you keep making those small incremental steps each day, you start getting closer and closer to those middle range steps, to those things that happen maybe a week or a month or a tournament out from where you are now. As you start creating that scaffolding, adding on to those layers of blocks, laying on to those layers of steps, you start making pretty significant progress towards whatever your long-term goals might be. That's how you get to your long-term goal. You can't just put it out there and think, okay, It's there. I can look at it. I can see it. It's going to be super motivating, and then not have a plan for how you're going to get there. You've got to figure out what are the intermediary steps. What can I do today? What can I do tomorrow? What can I do this week? What can I do this month that's going to take me one step closer to accomplishing what I need to accomplish today? And again, like I said, this is not something that you're necessarily going to do by yourself. Once you've figured out what the things are that you want to accomplish, you're going to want to talk to the people that you have around you that can help you to accomplish those things. So those might be coaches, those might be trainers, those might be family members, they could be your teammates, but work with each other to figure out what's the best action plan you can come up with to be able to take those small incremental steps towards improving yourself every single day. That's the purpose. That's the goal. That's the real heart of what a performance readiness plan is truly about. All right, so now we've got the idea of what a performance readiness plan should be about. Hopefully you've got a clearer understanding of what those important questions are that you need to ask yourself. Now it's time to make this personal. Now it's time to really figure out for you, where do you want to put your efforts for this season? What do you want to set for yourself? What goals do you want to put out there for you to start working on? I've created a series of worksheets for you to be able to play with that can help you get some of these ideas out of your head and down on paper. So we'll link this video with those worksheets so that hopefully you can open up that worksheet and work through this with your coaches, your teammates, your friends, your family. Just super quick, taking a look at what this looks like. It just reiterates the things that I just talked to you in that last slide. It talks about what do you want? What are the goals? What are the things that you want to attain? Again, those challenging but realistic, SMART, goal-structured statements about what your vision truly is. Then it gets into that question of commitment. How badly do you want something? And again, can't reiterate this enough. This is where you've got to be totally honest, both with yourself and with your coaches. Make sure that everybody around you knows how badly you want this, because then there can be some accountability for you if needed, or maybe they'll ease up on you and not expect the same things of you that they may be expecting from others. That's where the commitment piece comes in. Next thing you want to take a look at is that sacrifice question. What are you going to be willing to give up? What are you going to be willing to trade off to be able to do the things that you're setting yourself out to do? Then think about those obstacles. What are the things that are going to derail you? What are the things that are going to get in your way? What are the potential things? And remember that some of those obstacles aren't necessarily bad things. Sometimes they're really good things. It's, somebody's birthday party. It's an anniversary. Maybe it's a wedding. Things get in the way that stop you from being able to stay 100% on track all of the time. Just have a plan for what those obstacles are and what you're going to do when they come in to face you. And that last step, that super big, super work intensive step, is the most important piece. That's the action planning piece. This is where you're going to work collaboratively with your coaches, your teammates, your friends, your support staff members to figure out, what am I going to do each day to take those incremental steps towards getting better? What can I do today to improve my practice for tomorrow? What is that going to do if I cluster all 5 of those from this week together? What does that do to improve me this week? If I take 4 weeks at a time and I look at what those improvements are, what advancements have I made this month? If you start plugging those small steps into those medium steps and then eventually into those larger steps, that's where you get to accomplishing the long-term goals that you've set for yourself. That's what your performance readiness plan is truly about. That's why we take the time at the beginning of the season, when everything is full of possibility and there's lots of confidence and lots of optimism. That's the best time to start thinking about these things, because it's going to give you the roadmap for what you're trying to accomplish for the season. It gives you a plan for how you're going to be able to do this. So again, I want to just thank you for taking the time to review this video and hopefully download the worksheet and take some time to work on figuring out for yourself what your performance readiness plan would look like. As you go through this, as you rewatch the video, if you have any questions, if you need some clarification on exactly what any of this might look like for you or for your team, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me either at my email address, tstatler@fullerton.edu, or if you're interested, you can post something to Twitter and I can respond to you that way, at Tracy Statler. Thanks again for listening, and here's to creating really impactful performance readiness plans for a great season. Thanks again.